So my propane heater has gotten to the point where these sunflower heads will not stay lit, and they could be one of three issues. Number one, the thermocouple, which is right there behind this heat shield, could be faulty. Number two, the dump switch, this is called a dump switch, could be faulty. And what this does, there's a steel ball that comes down to rest on a switch that's typically open, but with the steel ball resting on it, it's closed and electricity is able to pass through. And that keeps electricity flowing to this electromagnetic valve. And that could be the third issue, is the valve could be bad. My guess is it's this dump switch. And so we're actually going to bypass the dump switch and just see if we can get the burners to stay lit when we bypass these switches. So how does everything work? Let's talk about that in just for a minute. So this is a thermocouple. Well, this is that you see is a heat shield. The thermocouple is actually behind there, and it looks like maybe the tip of a ballpoint pen, something similar to that. But the way a thermocouple works is it's two dissimilar metals that are joined together, and the Seebeck effect is something from thermodynamics. Whenever two dissimilar metals that are joined together are heated, you have a flow of electrons from one to another, and it creates an electrical current. And so that's very interesting to me that this actually works on electricity that's generated by the heat. That electrical current travels down the wires, and then they engage an electromagnetic valve that works on micro voltage, and that valve keeps the valve open, or keeps the gas open and flowing to the burner head. And so that's very interesting. So these propane heaters, you'll have them say whenever you start them that you keep the valve depressed for 30 seconds or 60 seconds, whatever the case may be. The reason for that is you're allowing the thermocouple to heat up sufficiently enough so that the electricity flows, therefore engaging the electromagnetic valve with micro voltage. That's what keeps these running. So the way they go out is you lose gas, which is either the valve shutting off or you run out of gas in your propane tank. Therefore, the thermocouple loses heat, and therefore the valve loses electricity and shuts itself off. So you have to have enough heat for the thermocouple to engage the electromagnetic valve. And that's why you keep the valve depressed long enough for there to be enough heat generated to generate electricity. The way that the dump switch works is, if this apparatus was to fall over in any direction, currently there's a steel ball in here, and it's resting on a switch that's in this piece of plastic here. And if I shift this in any way, the steel ball will be able to move around freely inside this. It's not really a globe, but in this area here, and it'll lift off of that switch. And it's a micro switch, and it doesn't take much movement at all to do that. So it would immediately break the electrical current coming from the thermocouple to the electromagnetic valve that's right here, and therefore it would shut off the gas automatically. So again, my assumption is that the dump switch is faulty. So the way to check that is to bypass the dump switch. We'll undo these wires and connect them together. We'll jump across the dump switch so that it's a continuous circuit. If they'll stay lit with the dump switch being bypassed, then we know that the dump switch was bad. If they don't stay lit, then either the electromagnetic valve is bad or the thermocouple is bad. With that said, we're going to get into actually troubleshooting this. I want to bypass the dump switches, and I want to see if in fact the thermocouples work and the heaters will stay ignited. First, let's light this and just see how it won't stay lit. First thing we're going to do is turn the gas on the tank. Another reason that a heater might not stay lit is because the tank may be empty. but my tank is full. I got a brand new one, and the one that came off of it when I couldn't get it to work was about halfway, just in case I ruled out the tank by putting a new tank on that's full of propane, so I'll know for sure that it's not the tank pressure. So we'll turn the valve on. We turn our heater valve on. I'm going to turn it on to the full position, and then I'm going to press my valve and light the head. So we'll light this. And again, we're trying to build up enough heat on the thermocouple so that it will engage this electromagnetic valve and keep the valve open. Mine says, on my instructions, continue to depress the valve plunger for 30 seconds and then release. Be careful not to shake the heater when releasing the plunger. If you shake the heater, the dump switch ball is going to move across that little micro switch and it'll cut it off, and immediately you've lost power and it shuts the valve back off. So you can see that the electromagnetic valve did not catch. The thermocouple is either faulty or the switch that the electricity is running through is faulty. So something is keeping electricity from getting to this and energizing this electromagnetic valve. So that's why I can't keep this lit. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the gas off and let it cool down. And while it's cooling down, we'll actually bypass the dump switch on this burner and just see if we can get this burner to stay lit. Again, we've got the two wires touching each other now, in contact with each other. Maybe not a good connection, so if it fails, I need to double check that. But now we're gonna leave it on for 30 seconds. And again, give the thermocouple time to heat up and start generating electricity, a microcurrent of voltage to this switch. And we've bypassed that dump switch. So being sure not to shake the unit. Whenever I remove pressure from the switch, the valve has stayed open. So definitely the dump switch is what was the problem. So we've just, again, we've switched it. If I take and disconnect these two leads, immediately the valve shuts off because we lose electricity, that microcurrent of voltage, to that valve. Just go to Amazon and you can buy these dump switches. I think you can buy a pair of them for $13. When you're replacing these dump switches, be sure to keep these screws. The new dump switches came without the screws, which is fine. We can reuse these screws here. So, and it's the same thing, same electrical leads. These are pretty standardized. So it should just be a pull one off and put the new one on in its place. And there you have it. So both of these stayed lit. It was definitely the dump switch. A $13 fix from Amazon to replace these. And the heater works as good as new. I can verify that I have each setting on my valve. So I have low, medium, and high. And now I have heat in my shop. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And be sure to like and subscribe. Like if you gained something from this. Be sure to subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And leave feedback in the comments below. I look forward to hearing any comments that anyone has. And I'll see you next time.